Thank you for staying with us. President Bola Tinubu has said Ecowas will continue to persuade the military leaders of Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso to return their nations to the fold. The president, who is also the chairman of the Ecowas Authority of Heads of State and Government, made the plea at a meeting with Ecowas chiefs of defense staff in Abuja. The special advisor to the president of media and publicity, Ajurin Galali, revealed the outcome of the meeting in a statement he titled Ecowas, Hand of Friendship Still Open to Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso. Says President Tinubu, the Ecowas chairman also lauded the defense chiefs for their commitment to regional stability and protection of constitutional governance. Well, joining us via Zoom from Abuja is an international affairs expert, Achike Chude. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
If you recall, Achike, the reasons these countries gave for pulling out of ECOWAS was that they called it inhumane sanctions meted out on them. That is, if it is anything to go by. But would it be a walk in the park, wooing them back, seeing that they believe the sanctions meted out on them was inhumane?
No, it will no longer be a walk in the park. You know, life is dynamics, and the circumstances, especially at the political level, are also dynamic. And so, and some other things have happened within that period that the sanctions were imposed on them. And this also, there are new realities that have to be confronted by all sides. Yes, the sanctions have been lifted, but like I said, there was a previous marriage. These countries are involved in the previous, marriage that perhaps they feel, was not well consummated. So they have gotten into another, marriage entanglement with other foreign powers, other realities, especially talking about their relationship with Russia. That would also have a lot to bear on what they are going to do with the ECOWAS going forward. So one would give it to ECOWAS in the sense that they have eaten humble pie. Don't forget that at the initial stage there was this radical protest towards this countries as a result of the involvement of the military in their countries. And that was why the sanctions were imposed in the first place. But the fact that the sanctions have been withdrawn to make things easier for the citizens of this country, not essentially the militaries and the country, those countries, but for the citizens, because the point has always been made that when you impose sanctions on countries, the people who suffer the most are the vulnerable, the ordinary people. And so it's a good thing that they have, they are looking at bringing this country back, because it is going to affect the overall plan that ECOWAS has in terms of their vision for the West African sub-region, a vision, monetary union, and the movement of people and goods across the subcontinent when some countries are no longer part of the whole. So they need to bring the parts back to the whole, and that is what the whole thing is all about. ECOWAS is still in need of these countries. And then, of course, I think the countries also, they are not made now. If they don't, maybe later they will realize that they are also in need of ECOWAS. And so they need to talk, they need to engage. But there's no talk or engagement that will happen without taking into reality the fact that they now have a new, they are consummated a new marriage. And then, so we're going to see how that is going to happen. Don't forget that we also have foreign elements in the territories of this country. The Wagner Group is representing Russia as a country. And so they're also speaking with the Russian administration. There are other things that are happening. And then again, the present stance of ECOWAS is still anti-coup, anti-military incursion into the countries of West Africa. They're also talking about the standing force in West Africa to also ensure a more effective fight against insurgents and the unconstitutional takeover of government. And so when you say, with this thing they are looking at, when you are talking about the unconstitutional takeover of government in West Africa, you are casting stones. You are also telling the other people, yes, we want you back in our fold. But we're putting structures in place to make sure that people like you do not have any people in any of the countries in West Africa. And so, on one hand, we are embracing them. On the other hand, through what we intend to do with the stabilization fund, we are also saying that we are still barrier in our midst. So these are the things that need to be worked out.
All right. You know, help us understand how this so-called relationship is going to work, looking at the fact that these countries are run on different ideologies, while some on the military, some other countries are still running on the democratic form of government. Let's also take into consideration that there is a level of, foreign interference in some of these nations. This relationship, will it actually benefit ECOWAS in the long run?
Well, it depends. Of course, you know that the countries are free to carve out their own destiny. And that is what these three countries have done. Whether it's going to work in the long run, I think that the question is still out there. But the reality is that as at now, the socio-economic indices have not changed. Perhaps in some instances they have gotten worse. They have not been able to improve on the lives of their people. They have not been able to stabilize their countries in terms of the various insurgent activities by non-state actors to stabilize the country. And so the old problems still remain. And again, you could say, okay, fine. Even if you are saying that the old problems still remain, then the question you now ask yourself is under the previous dispensation, when we had French troops and American troops in some of these countries, with their military hardware, how were they able to affect the positive change, especially in the fight against insurgency? Because even with the French and foreign troops there, they were still not able to control this insurgency. Now, with those countries gone, it is still the same situation. So, in that sense, nothing much has actually changed. But I think that they need to keep on engaging with ECOWAS. Like I said, there's no way, no man is an island, and no country is an island. It's even the best and the wealthiest countries in the world are dependent on other countries for the growth of their economies and all that. And so, they need to keep on talking. It's going to be some way off. They need to find common ground, and I think that this is the key issue. What are those things that divide us, and what are those things that we can agree on? And then, then maybe slowly they can begin to have build the kind of respect and confidence that is needed for them to engage in further discussion.
Right.
Of course, for the ECOWAS, it's always about, we look into the future, we want a democracy restored in their country. Right. For the military, they are going to decide when and how, if ever they are going to leave.
And that's where my next question lies, Achike, because these countries will be making demands of ECOWAS, and that could put ECOWAS in a vulnerable position, seemingly. Are there no implications for that? Because I am wondering, what could ECOWAS use to woo these persons? How can ECOWAS position itself in such a way that it is not vulnerable, it can still wield its authority over these countries while yet wooing them?
No, I think ECOWAS has lost the initiative. ECOWAS itself is also vulnerable at this particular conflict. And don't forget that ECOWAS took a hard stand against these countries that eventually led to their pulling out of ECOWAS. Now, without these countries giving anything back to ECOWAS, ECOWAS is wooing them back. So that tells you that ECOWAS is in a position of weakness rather than a position of strength. Because what they had at the initial stage was the power of sanction, against these countries. And somewhere along the line, I think the sanctions began to bite. Because the leadership of this military began to call on ECOWAS to remove the sanctions. Eventually, ECOWAS responded, but there was no requisite response, no give back by this country. They didn't give anything back. And so I think I think the only time these countries will begin to respond to ECOWAS overture will be when they begin to take very serious challenges, especially at the level of the insurgency, because some level of group commitment by all the countries in West Africa is needed to confront the hydra-headed monster of insurgency. And we are not just talking even about the economic issues and all that. So this is one area that one has to look at. But beyond that again is the need for, to ensure that what happened in this country do not happen. And the only way you can ensure that is to ensure good government. And I think good government, or lack of good government, is what is responsible for what is going on in those countries, or even the military take over in the first place. So I think it's a difficult situation for Ecowas. Ecowas, like I said, is not operating from a position of strength. Until those countries begin to have very serious intractable problems, and then they now realize that the whole is better than the past, and they now want to be back with the whole. And then again, their relationship with Russia, how, or with the Wagner Group, how is it paying them? If they feel that it is paying them much more in terms of ensuring security of their countries, and in terms of having better value for the resources that are being exploited, unlike what they had, for instance, in Niger with France, then they might not be willing at this particular point in time to think of coming back to ECOWAS. So I think in a way they are in a stronger position because they are not the ones begging and winning and forgetting. It is the ECOWAS. And ECOWAS, of course, is doing it for the right reason. But they have lost their ability, their strength over these countries when they go down.
All right. So let's also look at, the good side. That is the positive implication this will have on ECOWAS if they were to, join the group, not just on social and economic, development, also security-wise. There were fears earlier that jihadist groups may have spread into some of these other countries. So if these countries were to come together, not even, considering the pact that they have with themselves, if they were to come together, what is going to be, the positive implication it will have, on the whole of ECOWAS as regards security in the region?
Well, I don't know what new things they are going to do to ensure better improvement of the security situation in West Africa. These countries pulled out this year, a few months ago. That's when they pulled out. Before they pulled out of ECOWAS, there were still intractable security issues in the sub-region, and they are not able to solve it. So if the whole was not able to solve it, and we say, okay, now the relationship has ruptured between these two countries and ECOWAS, and you want them back, how is it going to improve the security situation? I don't know. I know that they are looking at a 1,200 strong stabilization force in West Africa. Would that be enough to fight insurgency? Don't forget that the insurgents are not fighting a conventional warfare. Their kind of engagement is very difficult and to confront because they hit and then they run. So you need to work with a lot of intelligence, a lot of resources to be able to go after this effort. So I think that you need a lot of seriousness on the part of the governments of West Africa. Somehow there is this feeling that even though that they have not been able to work with us, that they still lack the political will to truly confront this hydra-headed monster. Because the crisis has, first of all, the Boko Haram insurgency started in Nigeria. There were other pockets of resistance and insurgency in other parts of the West African continent, like Mali, but it has spread. So sometimes you have attacks of course, Burkina Faso has been overrun by these people. Sometimes you have attacks even in Togo and other parts of West Africa. And so we need more concerted effort. They need a lot more resources. They need a lot of political will to be able to confront this because it is growing and has grown in intensity. And they can only continue to grow more until they become a greater danger in the West African sub-region and actually now try to topple a government, which almost happened with Mali. Mali was already almost gone to the Tuareg rebels. It was almost gone until the French troops, the French government sent in thousands of troops to help, support the Malian government, and that was why they were able to pick them back. And so we hope that they'll be more proactive this time around if this conflict manage to come back. But like I said, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take months of discussion and assurances of this regime. It is also going to take something else that will be a contradiction within the ECOWAS. that they have to now work with this military-led government. They have no choice than to work with them. They are going to attend their meetings. They are going to be part of Ecowas. So what kind of message does that send? And that's why, in a way, it's a catch-22 situation for Ecowas. Whatever decision they take, for instance, will have advantages and will have also serious disadvantages.
Yeah, because that was also going to be my next question, talking about what message we did send if they have to work with this military-led governments where they are calling for a democracy, yet they are saying they want to woo these countries back, and these countries will be given their conditions. There are other countries who are monitoring whatever is going on now. How should ECOWAS move from here in such a way that it is seen to be entrenching good governance when we're talking about democracy, and also not sending a negative message that might have attendant implications at the end of the day? Because they are saying countries of the Sahel are facing protracted security issues, and the removal or the movement of these three countries would only make matters worse.
I think so. I think it will only make matters worse. Because even the Wagner group, for instance, that they are relying on, has been embroiled in all manners of controversy, extrajudicial killings, report of extrajudicial killings here and there. The other time, I think it was in Mali, or Niger, where about 300 people were massacred, by a combination of Wagner group forces and then the country's, soldiers. And so, obviously, this is not good enough. That's not what we want. We do not want another occupation power. And then again, some of these regimes, military regimes, have also have the Russians also nationally as their bodyguards for their presidents. Because of course, you know that some time ago there was a remote coup or an attempted coup against the Burkina Faso military strongman. And then so he has dispensed with essentially with domestic bodyguards, like soldiers to guide him. He also has Wagner Group, a mix of Wagner Group mercenaries and all that. So I think their major priority is for regime protection. They need to ensure that they remain in power. And so they're also watching their rank, and they are not exactly sure what is going to happen. They are potentially looking behind their back. And so, but then again, what they said, are they sending? It's unfortunately, ECOWAS needs to learn to cross the streets and dot the I's properly. They have been derelict in that particular area, and that's why they are where they are today. And so, I told you, there's a dilemma of embracing these people, wanting to bring them back. Because the people, when you say Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali to come back to the fold, you are asking the military administrator that you said, I'm not I'm not acceptable under any circumstance. You are asking them back into the fold. You are also going to ask them to sit with you when you have meetings and take decisions, when you have meetings. And so obviously you have sent the wrong signal. But then can they do otherwise? They are not in a position. So I think it's about negotiation, it's about compromise. Because once you negotiate, you won't have it at the back of your mind that you must compromise, and that the outcome of negotiation will not in any way, or most times, be to the advantage of both sides. There will be disadvantages, hard decisions that they have to take that they will not like, and then also those positions that they will take that they will like.
Achike, if you can hear me, unfortunately, our time is up. Our time is up. Achike Chude, International Affairs expert, thank you so much for your time on the program.
My pleasure, thank you.
Right. Finally on the show, we